So going back to Big 12 Media Day, what was kind of was there an overall takeaway that you had from listening to all these guys talk? Obviously, Sonny Dykes, Joey McGuire's first one as new head coaches in the Big 12. Was there any takeaway for you about? I know a lot of them obviously asked about expansion and things like that. Was there any overall takeaway for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me it was the Yormark presentation, the new Big 12 commissioner, and how open he was with just like the Big 12 is open for business. You know, like most commissioners kind of like, give you this like roundabout talk, and we're exploring all opportunities, and we'll think about what's going on, and we're going to do what's best for us. But he's coming from outside the commissioner world. He's from the private sector, and he knows how much marketing and money matters, right? And he was very clear of everything we do from now until our rights deal is up, which I think is in 2024, maybe in 2025. Everything we do from here on out in terms of conference expansion and conference marketing is to set us up to do well in that renegotiation.
Yep.
And that was refreshing to hear, because we talked last week on the podcast, and I was like, well, I assume he's going to get up there and kind of fire extinguisher, that kind of stuff, and just like, give himself some time to like really figure this out. And he's like, no. This is what it is. We gotta be aggressive, or we're going to get left behind. And to me, that means that the Big 12 is being proactive and ready to kind of go poach those remaining Pac-12 schools that they want. And it gives me even more confidence that the Big 12 can emerge from this as the third or fourth, depending on what happens with the ACC, best conference after the SEC and the Big 10. And that's good news for us, because that's going to be TCU, Houston, Baylor, Tech. And if those four schools can be anchored to a conference that still matters, quote unquote, nationally, that's good for football in the state of Texas. And maybe it's a way that we can get fewer and fewer of the top recruits to leave the state.
Sure, I agree with that. One of my favorite things from Big 12 Media Day was kind of everybody, because he's obviously, this is Dave Aranda's third media day. But still, I think everybody's kind of hip to his style and his personality now. He kind of said a little bit more of it during his press conference here at THSCA. And I loved that the first question he got was about what he's reading. And you could tell he genuinely enjoyed that question, because he dropped, it was some book about social change and how it happens. And then he, dropped a Brene Brown reference. And he was just like, of course, Dave Aranda's the guy that dropped a Brene Brown reference at Big 12 Media Day. But, yeah, Sonny Dykes is another one that was just it felt fresh, right, obviously.
And him talking about his dad.
Yes.
And how his dad would be proud of him for coaching in the Big 12, I thought was a cool thing.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
We had a lot of great moments from Big 12 Media Day. I think one of my favorite moments, and I'm still debating on if we should run this interview or not, but it was when the two Texas Tech players interviewed each other.
Miles Price and Caleb Rogers?
Yes. And Ish had the great idea to ask at the very end of the video, at the end of the interview, asked them both, has Joey McGuire's head gotten a little bit bigger since being on the cover? And they both just went off.
Yeah, you know what?
They
put that in now.
I was going to say, splice that in right now. And
we're going to put that little clip in right now.
Okay, perfect.
Got on the cover. Oh, his head always been big. That's always been a thing. But now, it's always been visibly big. But now, inside the head, it's a lot more big. So it just caused it to grow a little bit more.
I can't believe y'all let him scam y'all into putting him on the cover with Jeff Traylor. Y'all let him get on a press conference and be like, I challenge them not to do it. Come on. He really him and his best friend wanted to be on the cover together. He was like, hey, during the press conference, I'm going to make a joke about it. They're going to have to do it. They got to. So I can't believe y'all let that happen. But, yeah, man, his head's big, but it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. When you're Joey McGuire, who cares?
Everybody knows it.
Right.
so they excellent. Both those guys.
Listen, if Texas Tech doesn't figure out a way
to
get them some kind of internet show going on, they need to be riding around in their car.
They need to be the face of Texas Tech.
Going to different restaurants, they really do. They need to figure out a way to do some of that stuff.
Jesus and Miro type.
Right.
Oh my God.
Right.
Yeah, we were talking about that. We were like, we need to put them both in a car and put them on camera.
Yes.
So you know how I don't remember. Was it Jake Paul who did the interview with the? He had 21 Savage in the car with him, and they played music. They need to do that.
No,
just film it. They just need to drive around Texas Tech and pick people. That would be so good.
You know what it reminded me of? Kevin Hart and The Rock.
Yes.
You know, the way those two kind of always go back and forth and all that kind of stuff. Because Miles Price,
Oh, he's going to be hosting something.
Yeah,
He's a character.
right.
He's
you know,
great.
and like, you know, Caleb's so big compared to Miles, and so it had that kind of feel because like every interview those guys do together, they're always just roasting each other and playing off back and forth.
Yep.
And Miles and Caleb, you know, reminded me of that. And those guys, you know, they need to be actors or something. You know,
They do.
like they have like careers in entertainment in front of them if they'd like.
I think so they asked if they could be interviewed together or that they could interview each other, and I think we accidentally stumbled on something because everything they did, they were together.
Right.
After everybody kind of saw, because they're kind of loud, they're laughing, all this stuff, so everybody kind of started looking.
Well, a crowd built around.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Like everybody started like, what's going on over there? And because we're laughing too, and so like there was like, what the hell's going on with them? And then right after that, a TV crew interviewed them both together. They did their press conference together.
Everybody was taking pictures of them together.
Exactly. So like I think we like unintentionally stumbled on some gold because everything after that was just both of them together.
Where their origin story.
Exactly. It was like, it started at Dave Campbell's. So actually, we do have 2 interviews besides those 2. We're going to run those 2. We'll start with one right now. We'll do Steve Sarkisian. And thank you to Steve Sarkisian, John Bianco, walking over. He did his main presser. He did his breakout presser. And then he stopped by. And towards the end, it was the last interview we did. Last one or second to last? I couldn't remember.
Last one we did.
Yeah. So
I think Marvin Mims was the last one, but he was second to last.
Yeah. So we were winding down, and we were like, hey, if we can swing by, have time. And sure enough, he did. So without further ado, here's our interview with Steve Sarkisian.
Here with Coach Steve Sarkisian from the University of Texas. Coach, going into year 2, you were talking about how everybody kind of has the the established culture and expectations. What is different between maybe summer and spring year 1 and summer and spring year 2?
Well, I think the biggest thing in year 1 is you're trying to instill, right, the core values in your program. You're trying to instill the schemes, the fundamentals, the techniques that are needed to try to perform in our systems and in our program. Year 2, now you can start to dig a little deeper and get into the nuances of those things. And just even now, talking to the guys that are here with me today that are veteran players that have been in this program now for 18 months, they can talk about it. They're talking about, man, there's such an understanding now of not just what my job is, but what the guy's job is next to me or what the guy's job is behind me. And now I know why it's important to do the things, whether it's on or off the field, for the program and for the sake of us being successful.
You kind of talked a little bit about self-scouting and what you learned about yourself after year 1 or some things that you would have done differently. How important is that as a coach to always kind of look inward, not only at your team, but at your coaching staff, at yourself, and kind of figure out what you're doing, what you're not doing?
Well, I value it. I value it every Sunday. I value, I look at every play call I make, and sometimes it may result in a touchdown, and I'll think, man, that really wasn't a great play call, but we're always trying to evolve. We're always trying to get better, so that if a situation arises similar to it, what would we do differently? And if I don't do that, then I'm probably not living up to the standard of what's needed of me as a head coach at the University of Texas. So I'm always self-evaluating. Then I'm always evaluating those around me and having open and honest conversations about how we need to improve and then how we're going to get there.
I always hear coaches talking about programs transitioning from coach-led to player-led. Do you feel like y'all are closer to that right now than you were this time last year?
Yeah, I really do. I think we're much closer. I think that I wouldn't say we're closer. I think we're there. I think we've got players in place in our program now that are in position that understand the expectation and that can speak the language, right, of what we're speaking. And it's interesting. We're in a unique state because I've got 57 of my 85 scholarships as freshmen or sophomores on our team. But yet those remaining players on our roster, right, those 28 other players, those guys are there for a reason because they have really bought in. They're good players, they're good people, the graduates, things of that nature that they can extend and kind of reach out to those younger players to show them the way. And then that's when you really got something cooking, when the players are coaching the other players on and off the field. Now we've got a chance to do something special.
We cover a lot of high school football at Dave Campbell's. You've coached in a lot of different states. What makes high school football unique in Texas, and how much is it an advantage to be the coach of the University of Texas in a state that cares so much about that?
Well, I think one of the things that is unique, everywhere you go around the country, there's pride, to some capacity of pride in their program, their local program. In the state of Texas, everywhere you go, there is pride in that high school's football program. And it doesn't matter if they're 6A or 1A. When you show up to that stadium, there are thousands of people at that game. An entire town will be at a game to watch their team play. And I just think that is what is so cool and so unique. I think the other side of it, too, is the investment that everybody makes in their programs, right? From facilities to putting their players in the best position to be successful to hiring of coaches. There are great coaches in the state of Texas, and they work at their craft. They want to be really good at it, and in turn, their players get developed. And so there's a lot of positives to this thing, but football is no more important than anywhere in the world than the great state of Texas, and we're fortunate to be the flagship program. That when the University of Texas shows up to watch a game or come to a practice or go to a school, everybody knows it and everybody's excited we're there.
Lastly, before you go, I know you play golf. I play golf. I wonder, what's your handicap?
It's not great. It's not great. I'm about a 14.
Yeah. Well, if you're any better, then you're playing too much golf.
Well,
probably.
I say it all the time when anybody plays me. Do you want a great golfer or do you want a great football coach?
Right.
Most people I play with would prefer the great football coach.
That makes sense. All right, Coach. Appreciate your time.
Guys, be good.
Absolutely.
Thanks again to Texas head coach Steve Sarkisian for swinging by. I know media day is pretty wild for him, so taking even that little bit of time was really cool of him. And our little makeshift setup there.
I learned his golf handicap.
Yeah, exactly. That was a nice question.
I wanted to know if I was a better golfer than Steve Sarkisian, and it sounds like we're about the same.
Yeah, there you go. So, let's talk a little bit about Texas. First of all, DeMarvion Overshawn, the hat, amazing. Like he had his cowboy hat on his breakaway presser. Bijan Robinson, of course, was the guy, right? Everybody was there.
So many people were around him,
And it lasted forever.
I always feel bad about those kind of players where it's just like they're just like it's 30, 45 minutes. Like there's two types of players that I feel sorry for. The ones that get everybody and the ones that get nobody.
I know.
I feel more sorry for the nobody.
Right, sure, yeah.
Because, that's, you get brought all the way out to media days. You get put out, and, you look to your left and everybody's around Bijan Robinson. You look to your right, everybody's around Dylan Gabriel at Oklahoma, and you're just like,
what am I doing here?
It was kind of like that for Kansas. Like, they were kind of there, but nobody was really – well, and it's also because we're so far from Kansas. Like, not many media people are going to travel to Texas for this Big 12 Media Day for Kansas. But, I kind of felt that way with them a little bit. But.
So, I'm trying to think what else from that part. We can just run one of the Joey McGuire interview next. Yeah. Joey McGuire, of course, as Mike joked, seen him way too much. I don't know how you did that interview.
Too many questions. Like
I was about to say, I don't know how
you're doing this.
I don't know how you had more questions for him, but somehow you did. So Joey McGuire, of course. First let's talk about when he was walking to the stage. Big
oh flex, my gosh!
Big flex on Mike Craven's part. So Mallory was getting footage of every Texas coach walking to the stage off to the side. Well, of course, Joey McGuire walks to the stage. Mallory's getting him walking up. Just pulls off to the side. I was like, oh, that's Mike Craven.
He sees Craven.
He just gives him some dap. Nice shoes, brother. Gives him a hug. And it's like everybody's like, for Mike Craven to be the guy that gets that,
I know.
He's just like, why? What? Like everybody's just like looking at who is this guy?
So I was standing there because, of course, everybody like. It works like there's lots of tables and stuff right in front of the stage for all the media. And the coach who's about to walk up had just been interviewed by ESPN. So he's walking to the side. And so I'm getting every coach and stuff. And, man, when I tell you, when Joey McGuire came up to you and started hugging you and talking to you, I felt so cool because everybody was looking at us at that point. And then everybody started filming the coaches walking up to the stage. I feel like that kind of became a thing.
I'm glad y'all enjoyed that so much.
I was about to say, you were not having
gold.
fun. You were like, I don't know. Just kind of like hands in the pocket, just like.
So, maybe this podcast isn't the best place to talk about this, but I believe in a little bit of a separation of church and state.
Sure.
Like you kind of, we're media, right? Like, and I get along with all these guys, and that's great. And, Dave Campbell's allows me as a brand to kind of like be a little bit more friendly with those coaches because we kind of do more uplifting football stuff and less like tearing down. We're not going to like write like these investigative stories or whatever. And so it is a little bit different role, but it was like I'm in a room full of my peers, right? All the other media guys, and like I'm
dapped up,
right? And this is like, oh man, come on, Joey, like
it was cool.
But it was really cool. Like a lot of people like reached out and stuff and was like, man, he really liked your shoes.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. That did well on social.
That was my best part. It was it wasn't really the hug.
Get the cosign. cosign with the shoes.
Right.
So anytime you get the cosign with the shoes, you're good to go. So we'll run our interview with Joey McGuire here. Again, thank you to Texas Tech for, and McGuire, because, again, especially a new head coach, media day is a whirlwind, and so him taking some time with us was really nice. So.
He was in his element.
Oh, he worked the room, man. He was there. His press conference was great. He knew. So here's our interview with Joey McGuire.
Here with Texas Tech head coach Joey McGuire. Coach, been a pretty eventful last 9 or 10 months for you. Are you pretty excited to kind of like have football season, finally right around the corner? You can almost smell that grass.
No, I can't wait. I love how you put that. How you smell that grass. I can't wait. I coach because I want to coach football and be around these players, and just the spring was incredible to be back on the grass. But I can't wait to go to, walk out of that tunnel and Jones AT&T is going to be incredible.
You kind of mentioned how you knew the guys would buy in eventually, but they bought in pretty quickly. What do you think it says about your staff that you put together, that those guys, you didn't have a bunch of transfers out, a lot of guys stayed, a lot of guys bought in? What does that say about you and that staff?
I think we are who we say we are, and we're that way every single day. And, I'm really proud of our staff, because that is one thing about those guys. They bought into that, coming in. You work for different coaches and different things are important, recruiting and this and that. For me, it's about the players that we have on our campus. I mean, we're going to recruit like crazy and we're going to do everything, but our players on our team should be the most important things that we have going on in our life, besides our families, and they're extension of our families. And so it's easy to bring that in, and I think them seeing that allowed them to buy in a lot faster.
Now, I've been curious. You've done this for a little bit while now. Like, what is the biggest difference between being a high school football coach and a college football coach through the offseason?
One of the strangest things I'll never forget, 2017, we go out recruiting in January, and I leave, and then I don't see my guys again until, that end of January, 1st of February, and being away from the players during that recruiting period is the biggest difference, because really January is really when you start building that new team, and you got to trust that you've got a great strength staff, and we do. Lance Barlow and his crew do such a great job, but that was the strangest thing and really different. The recruiting part's the different part.
Have you all settled in? You already moved in, all that kind of stuff. I guess what's been one of your favorite parts about Lubbock so far?
The food. We got a new suit for media day, of course, and the waist size is a little bit different than my last suit, and I think I've gained a little bit. The food's incredible. If you ever come out to Lubbock, Texas, and I know you've been out there, the people, it's just that true Texas feel of just genuinely good people. And so between those, the food and the people, it's been incredible.
All right, sir. Appreciate it.
Great seeing you, brother.
Yes, sir.
Thanks again to Joey McGuire and Texas Tech for standing with us after their press conference on Big 12 Media Day. Joey McGuire, we went to there was an alumni event here as well. Joey McGuire, this is his Super Bowl. Like, THSCA is his Super Bowl. It was this way when he was at Baylor, because you could tell Rule and Aranda were like, do your thing, right? Like, this is why we hired you, to work the room and to work. And so him as a head coach, same guy. It is his element. And so he, of course, Tepper tweeted out the Oklahoma thing, which if it was any other coach besides Joey, I feel like somebody would be upset about if you didn't see the tweet. He said, somebody asked him at the alumni event about the end zone complex, and he said, we're going to beat Oklahoma, and we're going to tear down the end zone, and we're going to knock it down or something like that. And so Tepper tweeted it out, and Tech Twitter loved it, and then Oklahoma Twitter found it later and was like, oh, what's going to happen here? But regardless, if it was any other coach that said that, I feel like he would have been more upset. But he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. He's firing up this fan base. He's getting people excited. That week one's going to be their first home game is going to be incredible in terms of atmosphere. This is his element, and he was fully in it.
Yep.
He has never met a mic that he didn't like.
Absolutely.
He
Including me.
Or a mic, yeah.
Or a mic. You can play on words here. But yeah, he commands the room when he gets that mic, man. And Ashley and I went to this event called Muffins and Mimosas with the Texas high school coaches'
The
wives.
Texas Wives Coaches Association. It's-
Okay,
yeah.
Wives Association. Yeah.
A lot of letters and all.
Yes, lots of letters, and yeah, I'm tired. And so their guest speaker was Debbie McGuire, Joey McGuire's wife, and man, they're one and the same. She commands the room when she takes. She's not as comfortable on the mic as he is,
Sure.
but she's still so interesting to listen to. Like, and it was interesting to hear. They're a team, and whenever she was talking about Joey, she said we. Like they're a team. They're a brand in itself, and they are both doing such a good job at branding.
Yeah.
Like they're an incredible couple and one and the same.
Oh, easily. First Lady of Lubbock, like the president of
Yes.
Lubbock. Like it is
Yes.
very much that relationship.
Everybody knows her. Everybody knows him.
Exactly.
Like yeah.
When I was younger, around the Texas program and stuff, you always heard about Miss Sally. You know, like Matt Brown's wife,
Yep,
right? And
yep.
that's what they'd call her. You know, and like, you know, recruits loved her. You know, like recruits' parents really loved her, you know, because it was like, hey, I'm going to take, you know, your kid needs some pancakes, you know, like they ain't coming to my house, they got some pancakes. That's going to be Debbie McGuire.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You know, where it's like Miss Debbie, you know, is
Miss
going
Debbie,
to take care of all this stuff, you know. And if you're a mom sending your, and that just shows how big of a machine these things are.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just the coaches, it's not just the
No.
players, it's not just the backroom staff, it's not just the SIDs, it's like all their wives, all their families. Like it is really just this huge group effort, and these coaches' wives have to be a part of all that, you know, whether they like to be or not. You know, like it's such an interesting world, and it's cool to see that family kind of get this platform, you know,
Yeah.
because they deserve it, and they, you know, they're going to do it for the right reasons. Right.
And she was mentioning too, she was like, you know, there's going to be a lot of players that can't go home for Thanksgiving or Christmas, and we want to be that place, that safe place to where if they don't have anywhere to go or they can't be with their family, we want them to come join us. And I thought that was really cool.
And yeah, that's really important. You got to remember these are 18 to 22-year-old kids. Some of them not coming from the greatest upbringings,
Right.
You know,
Right.
and
Never
not,
been away from home either.
right?
sometimes.
Never been away from home. May not have a home to go back to.
Yeah.
You know, and so. You know, to have people like that around you at all these universities, you know, there's probably a Debbie McGuire at every single one of these schools, you know, and those kind of things are invaluable for these kids that, you know, we try to act like they're 30 because they're 6'4", 300 pounds, you know, like we act like they're just robots or whatever.
Right.
But they're still 19.
Exactly.
You know, and,
Exactly.
you know, it can get lonely when you're out at school like that. So that's really good on her to do that kind of stuff.
They're both so great. So great. We love them. So